A Justice Department agent interviews Dr. Thomas Larkin about his spiritual counseling relationship with President Frank Underwood and his wife Claire, focusing on potential money laundering. Dr. Larkin refuses to divulge any information, citing patient confidentiality. The agent counters that a judge may not recognize their sessions as legally protected. Simultaneously, Frank and his chief of staff, Remy Danton, strategize damage control related to questionable money laundering transactions involving a Las Vegas casino. Frank tasks Remy with secretly convincing Raymond Tusk, a key figure, to cooperate with authorities. Reporter Megan Hennessy interviews the Underwoods about an impending news story. Meanwhile, a captured criminal hacker named Gavin claims access to vast data centers under FBI interrogation. These events are intercut with scenes of Frank and Claire facing a growing crisis. Rachel Posner, fearing for her safety, flees her apartment. A shadowy figure then appears at her car window. The segment opens with an MSNBC interview of Megan Hennessy, a sexual assault activist, which Chris Hayes interrupts to take a call from Representative Jacqueline Sharp. Sharp criticizes Hennessy's views on the military and claims that military sexual assault stems from a systemic cultural problem, making compromise difficult. Sharp further attacks Claire Underwood, stating she is not an example of bravery, prompting Claire to walk out of the room in disgust. Frank Underwood then meets with Attorney General Catherine Durant, who informs him that Raymond Tusk has been subpoenaed, implying the president directed her to pursue the case. Andrew Doyle raises concerns about Dr. Thomas Larkin's potential testimony and whether he might be influenced, suggesting he not testify. Dunbar later informs Claire that Sharp has withdrawn her support for the education bill, and Claire asserts that Sharp has sided with Tusk. Dunbar and Claire discuss Larkin's past relationship, and they jointly decide that Dunbar will contact Larkin to ascertain his approach to addressing it in his testimony. Frank then instructs Dunbar to prepare Larkin. Claire confides in Frank about her concerns regarding Sharp, which Frank acknowledges. Remy finds Lucas Goodwin dead in his cell. Durant later expresses her fear to Heather Dunbar that the situation could damage the president's legacy and the Underwoods' marriage. Frank indicates his willingness to speak with the president. Sir Larkin testifies before Congress, claiming he only provided spiritual guidance to the president and denies any inappropriate relationships while being questioned about a former patient. Lisa Williams has an emotional confrontation with Claire at the White House and leaves distressed. Remy Danton meets with Frank and Raymond Tusk in a penthouse overlooking D.C., expressing confusion about the situation. Frank reveals that Seth is going to confess everything and that Tusk mustn't believe anything he says. An outsider interrupts, advising Remy that Frank and Tusk are using him. President Underwood checks in with his chief of staff about Raymond Tusk, then tasks him with calling Ayla for another matter. News reports surface about White House advisor Bill Galich being subpoenaed and Dr. Thomas Larkin advising Frank and Claire, though there is no solid evidence of the latter. Tusk and Heather Dunbar arrive for an appointment, which is revealed to be Tusk's testimony. During questioning, Tusk invokes the Fifth Amendment, surprising Heather. She encounters Rachel Posner, who is scared and wants to leave. Meanwhile, Catherine Durant is invited to the White House and states that she has not been friends with the administration. Durant states that many political analysts believe that the Legal Committee of Congress will start rewriting articles on impeachment. Jackie Sharp is invited to the White House for her opinion and her support on the case. She says that it is not a battle they can win. Frank asks her to gather votes as she is good at it, and Claire tries to bring everything to reality, making sure that he does not lose them seats. Frank and Claire tell Jackie that they need to focus on the end goal, so that they can still have actions in the future. Frank warns them against touching his figurines, stating that Jackie needs to help them finish this.